Hi there, Dennis here with Alien Cat. Today we're working with our Cosmic Photo Enhancement System. You're looking at an 8 by 10 extracted image. It could have been shot with green screen, but it actually happens to be an extracted image. We're going to go ahead and open our green screen version. I'm going to leave the text as it is. We could have changed it at that point, but I'm going to go ahead and leave the 2014. This would work great for a senior image or a prom image. You can adjust the text, change the font, do a million different things with this iteration of Darkroom. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and leave the text, I should say, as it is. All of our files utilize multiple layer construction. You see all the layers or the groups of layers here. Between the order of the layers and the transparency, the opacity, and the designs that I carve into these layers, you get some really exciting effects. We're going to go ahead and start with the color editor. You have the option of selecting or sampling any area of a photograph or any other image, or you can come in and choose a color. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and work with the orange, or vivid orange, if you will, as I find that works pretty well with this particular image. The white box, if you will, that you see around the outer edge, the frame, you can also change its color. I'm going to go ahead and start with the orange and then move into more of a yellow to get a gold effect. We can come back and alter that later. You see how that's changed. I can also alter the color of the text. We can change the scale of the subject or remove her, whatever we want to do. I'm going to keep her right about there. That works for me. Now we'll jump into the graphic list editor. I'm going to go through each one of these particular groups of layers, then we'll come back and start working on some final compositions. The first is the graphic overlay 1 layer, the background layers, and there's lots of options. I'm going to stop right here and go on and show you the other features. This is a lighting layer. The lighting layer comes in on each of the 4 sides to create a vignette effect. As you can see, there's 4 different opacities. Depending on the image and your personal taste, you'll find that one of those will work for you to enhance the image in the manner that you like. Now we'll move on to our corner effects. Here in the bottom left, you can see how that comes in. There's a very finessed, I call it the fishbone effect actually, in the left bottom hand corner. 2 different opacity levels. There it is turned off at 75 and then at 100%. That effect repeats itself for each corner. Corner 2 being the bottom right. As you can see, that comes in. Again, given the layer of, or the amount of transparency, and depending what other layers are behind it, you get different effects. But that goes around all 4 sides, as you can see. I'll come back to this. What I call the window pane behind her is 2 different opacities. I think it's very important to have it there for an extracted image. So I'm going to leave it there. You can turn it off altogether. And then the frame with the pattern carved into it, you have it at several different opacity layers, or you can turn it off altogether. I'm going to go ahead and work with it at 50% at this point. And then there's also a lighting effect that comes in to darken each corner. Left, bottom right, upper left. Turn it off altogether. Again, depending on the composition, the photograph, you can manipulate those to your heart's content. Okay, let's go back to our graphic overlay layers. Go through these a little slower so you can get a feel for how each of them work. I'm also going to go ahead at this point and turn on a lighting effect at 35%. Go back to the graphic overlay layers. Really like the energy, the kinetic feeling of that. I call it the race behind the subject. There it is at lighter opacity. There's our smoke, different version of our smoke effect. I think that works particularly well with this image. Even without any background graphic overlay layers, that's pretty nice right there. But let's go back and choose one of these guys. Let's run with this, the Fluffy 2 layer, and add corner effect. Let's take our frame and bring that down in tone a little bit. It's a little more subtle. And go with our corner 3 effect. And you can continue to work with this just by changing the background color. You'll have a completely different effect. Let me see if I can choose something that's not just going to look horrible. Just by lightening. Let's just lighten it up. You see how completely different that is. Let's look at another image. Let's switch to a mask based where there's actually a background behind the photo. Hit the letter B. And this is the mask based version of the same file. Grab this portrait image. This photograph was taken by Lisa Kitchen, very talented photographer. Let's look at a different background color. I'm going to jump in and actually try to get something that approximates the color of her eyes. It's a little vivid. Might have to go back and rework that. I'm going to take a look with the background layer. Obviously that's a little too intense. Let's actually go in and sample and then add some color. Lighten that up a little. It's a lot of fun to work with this. I find that if you work with a little bit more intense background colors, once you start laying in the graphic overlay layers, you'll see a lot of effects that you might not have thought would ever work depending on the intensity of that color. These are all working for me, although I'm still not sure about that color. Let's try just to sample her skin tone. That's really fascinating to me how that's working with both the background and with her hair. Still not sure about the background color. Let's change the frame color a little bit, see what that looks like. That's nice and subtle. I like the way it completely disappears into the purity of the color. And again, let's take a look at our lighting layers. Punch the frame a little bit. That's very interesting. Let's take a look at a different image, same subject. Really like the energy where her elbow is going down into the sand. I'm going to move the text down just a little. Let's see what it looks like with the frame turned all the way off. And let's just go really quickly go through the background graphic overlay layers again. Even with that alone, I think works quite well. It's a beautiful photograph. I think that one's working particularly well. Let's change the color, see what that looks like. I'm going to sample this light blue, add some purity, chromacity. This really is endless. I mean, as soon as you think you've got something you really like, there's another option. I think it's very interesting where there's a double frame system coming in here, as you can see. I go back very quickly. This was tough. I don't know what to decide on this. Let's change the background color one more time. I'm going to sample the light violet of her blouse, and again I'm going to go with a little bit more intense color. Same subject. Have to be careful, I don't have much room to work with there before we hit a hard edge. This is too much fun. Let's increase our lighting. And very quickly we'll take a look at a young man, completely different image. I think the race background is going to work very well for him. There we are. And then with our background color, we'll go with a little deeper blue. Or even sample his skin tone. That was pretty horrid. Let's see what happens if I lighten it up. I think I'll go back to a washed out blue. And I still want to work with background colors. Let's just try his hair real quick up here. What's very interesting about this is when you're sampling colors, you'll do things with colors that you would have never associated or thought would possibly work, and still get a really an effective look with the file. Don't have much room to work with here. guys, that's our quick demonstration for the Cosmic. This is an 8x10, working with both green screen and mask-based images. We offer every other format. This is an 8x10. We offer many different versions in regards to other formats and multiple images. But I'll stop the demonstration at this point.